Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Strength Beyond Strength podcast. It's been a while since I've done an episode, but I've decided to fire it back up because I've had some interesting conversations online with a few different people recently, and I thought this would be good to record and to actually have face-to-face conversations with some folks and share that with the world. So today I'm talking with Colin Lake from the Great Lakes Method. He's a Strong First certified instructor. We've had some conversations about some of his training around snatching and bent pressing and things like that, which have been pretty interesting. We've never actually met face to face. It's our first time seeing each other's faces and hearing each other's voices live in real time. So I'm grateful for that. And he also has recently started a new business where he's manufacturing some kettlebells, and I'm excited to hear some of the stuff that he has to say about that. So I'm not going to do too much more talking about him. I'm going to let him tell his story, and we'll hear it from his mouth. Colin, appreciate you being on the show today.
Hey, Dave, I really appreciate you having me. It's an honor being on the show. I really appreciate it. I fell in love with the kettlebell quite a long time ago. In about 2015, I was in personal training. I was a top trainer at Good Life in Canada here. And I kept going to all this continuing education, all these different courses. And I went to a course, neurokinetic therapy, met Kathy Dooley, you know her, and she was bringing up, I remember her bringing up your name, but at this course, I did 3 levels of it, and I heard of this certification called Strong First, and it immediately interests me because I normally am good at things physically, like I catch on to things fairly quickly, and previously, in I think 2014 or somewhere around there, I was at Good Life, and an instructor came in and was doing some demos with the kettlebell, and I couldn't get the kettlebell swing, and I couldn't get it, and it was pissing me off. So anyway, I'm like, I kept seeing these kettlebells showing up in all of these smart people's rooms and businesses. So I thought that this is there's something going on here. There's something worthwhile to me investigating why all these really smart people have all these kettlebells. So I took the course in 2016 in Montreal with John Engum and Luca Cursor. Almost left halfway through the certification crying. That's a real story. I did not prepare for the certification. I showed up without physically preparing for it. And I believe at that time, I think the snatches were on the second day, the test, not on the third day. And I believe, I know it wasn't on the third day. They've changed that since. But I only got about 70 reps and my hand busted open. And at lunchtime, I seriously, like, I felt like crying and packing my stuff and going home. And I didn't. I stuck around. I learned the technique for the snatch, and I persevered, and I wrapped my hands up, which was allowed to. If you open your hand up and you actively have a wound, you can cover it up. So I was actually grateful that I opened it up because I could cover it up with a bandage and provide some protection and go on. But I ended up getting the certification and going through, and it was a really, really amazing experience. And I have assisted a lot of Strong First events, and I just absolutely fell in love with the kettlebell. And I am biased because I sell kettlebells, but like I haven't found a better tool to use than the kettlebell for all-in-one fitness. It's like the Swiss Army knife of the fitness industry, and it's so versatile. And I just fell in love with it, and it's just an amazing tool. And I truly enjoy helping people learn how to use it, and I enjoy promoting and trying to get people that haven't used it to understand, or at least to experience it, and to try and get them on the path of their journey with the kettlebell.
Now, I know that one of the things that we recently talked about in messaging and social media back and forth stuff is the 10-minute Secret Service style snatch test, and you're chasing a pretty significant goal with that right now. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with that.
Yeah, I like pushing the limits. I successfully accomplished the Secret Service snatch test multiple times And this hasn't been, again, with very much dedication to the training behind it.
Excuse me for interrupting you on this. Just in case anybody doesn't know, the Secret Service snatch test, what it is. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Way back 20 something years ago, during the RKC when Pavel Sassolin was still involved in it, the Secret Service snatch test became this sort of mythical thing that was like a almost like part of the rite of passage. And it was taken for men a 24-kilogram kettlebell and snatching it 200 times in a 10-minute time period with multiple hand switches. You could sit it down whenever you want to. So it wasn't like Gear Boy Sport rules, but it's a pretty tough thing to do. And for example, I had a gym downtown in Nashville for about 6 years, and I had a lot of people come through the doors there. And out of all of the people that came through, only one client ever decided they wanted to do it and pursue it all the way to the end and successfully do it. And I think he did like 203 or something like that in 10 minutes. And anyone who's done those kinds of numbers with that kind of output knows what it's like. But yeah, so I just wanted to clarify what that is on the front end so that people aren't listening and saying, oh, what the hell is the Secret Service snatch test? Do I have to join the Secret Service to do that? And so, yeah, go ahead.
No, I appreciate that, and that gives some context to what's going on. It's a love-hate relationship. Like you can see when I first got exposed to the snatch, I absolutely hated it. I almost went home and cried. But there was something that intrigued me about it. And where you're weak in something, there's a very good opportunity to strengthen that up and see other areas improve. So, anyways, I like to keep my strengths strong and keep strengthening up your weaknesses. Um, and so I wanted to pursue that. And like if naturally, if I've hit 200 without training very diligently for that, I truly believe that I can get to 300 within the 10 minutes with that pacing. So it's going to be a long process. I've gone through. I have really buggered up my shoulders. I got hit by a car. I went into a windshield and landed behind the car on this side, and I've broken my shoulder blade, the scapula, and I've broken my collarbone, and I've separated both shoulders. So when I started my personal training life, I really started, like, I couldn't, my overhead capability wasn't there. So I really started rehabbing that. And that's part of my love that fell into the love of the kettlebell and the Turkish getup. So I'm getting off track of your answer for the 300, but the thing is, like, I like pushing the limits, and I like to know what's possible. And I know I've seen a few individuals complete 300. So I know it's possible. And I'm a strong individual, and my cardio capacity is high. So I really believe that I can get there. So I'm working on that right now. And I think over the next, I think it's going to take me probably a couple of years to get there. I'm not going to rush to get it there. And I think that's just smart training. But with the injuries, I'm navigating playing. I play competitive soccer as well, and I'm navigating. I'm also going after a world record for the Turkish get-ups in an hour. So I'm navigating all these different goals as well as playing soccer at the same time. But I'm very, very, very in tune with my body. Long story short is I've been doing a lot of breath work, and it's been like I've had a lot of stuff going on in my pelvis, and that's all been. I have all sorts of tension, all sorts of stuff related to getting hit by the car and scars and all sorts of stuff. But I've had improvements in my rib cage movement and breathing mechanics, and the way that my shoulders are sitting and seating in this work is changing. So I'm noticing all of this stuff, and I've got to respect it and not keep pushing forward. It's like I've got to neurologically rewire these patterns with my new positioning of my skeleton that I have. And it's really awesome. I've seen a dramatic improvement in my posture. Anyways, I'm really excited about it, but I've got to take my time, respect my body. And I do a lot of sauna and a lot of recovery. Speaking of the Turkish get-ups in the hour, the goal there is to get the most weight lifted within the hour of Turkish get-ups, within the hour. Now, I'm pretty close to, at one point in time, a few years ago, I was pretty close to beating the record. And then that is a pivotal point in my journey to designing and making kettlebells. So when I started getting good at the Turkish get up, I was watching a gentleman named Zach Kirchner, very, very strong individual. And I was looking up to him and always watching what he was doing. He's very, very strong. So anyways, I got some training program from him. I was doing some programming and some training. And I was working with the kettlebell. And at the time, I was doing I believe it was a 56 kilogram Turkish get up. Now, I have some kettlebells coming in. So I was going to sell the set that I had to a friend. And I had another set coming in. So I replaced the sets. And all of a sudden, the new set comes in. My old set's gone. I tried to go to do a get up with the 56, and I couldn't do it. I was like, what's going on here? And I was trying to analyze the situation. It was like, am I tired? Am I fatigued? Is what's going on here? And I was looking at it. I'm like, the window is shorter. So the window is a lot shorter, and it's changing my wrist position, and that matters a lot. And a lot of people don't understand exactly how much it matters. And it doesn't, like, you can get away with it when, like, I would argue that it's important to get a nicely designed kettlebell when you're first starting out. So it's comfortable and you can learn and not have to worry about the pain and discomfort on the back of your forearm. So, like, for example, I have 3 kettlebells here. I'm going to stay close to the mic. So I have 3 kettlebells here. They're all the same weight. Okay. So you can see them over here. It's hard to see, but the one window is 50 millimeters. So I'm not sure. I know I'm talking in millimeters here and I should be doing it in inches. But the one on the left there is 50 millimeters. That middle one is 55 millimeters. And that one is 65 millimeters. Now they're all the same weight, but they feel completely different. And the weight distribution, like, I think of a kettlebell as a leverage tool. I don't think about it as just a weight. Okay. Because it's an offset weight, right? It's a leverage tool, and that millimeters make a huge difference. So when you're talking even just a couple millimeters sitting difference in your forearm, it makes a dramatic difference in the leverage and the pressure being applied down.
As you were talking, I did a quick Google conversion. 50 millimeters is 1.9685 inches. So about 2 inches. And you said the other one was 55?
Yeah, the other one was 55 millimeters.
2.16, so about 2.2 inches, which is significant. And then what was the third one?
The third one is 65 millimeters.
65, which is 2.5 inches. So that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now I'll move my camera down here. So it makes a massive difference where it sits on the bones. Okay, so on the back of the forearm. So this is the large one. This is 65. This is 55, and this is 50. Now these are all the same weights. Okay, but they've got different weight distribution. Okay, and the way that sits. Now these are only 8 kilograms. Now if you multiply this and you do this with heavier kettlebells, like, it's obviously magnifies the significance of that. Okay, so I just can't stress enough how this space and also this space will determine how it feels on the back of the forearm. And it's not only how it feels, it's just the leverage of it pulling you. So there's also different nuances in the wrist positioning and stuff like that. And I really believe, like, for the heart, like, I think a strong man, up to, like, if they're 170 pounds, I think they should be able to hold a relatively neutral to slightly flexed wrist while pressing. That's my personal opinion, somewhere around there. But, like, after like 48 kilos or something like that, I like to allow a bit of variation in the wrist. It's like, so you're allowing that pressure, allowing that more of extension in the hand and getting strong in that position. Because if you keep fighting against that extension, it's going to be your weak link. Okay. So if you can give in to the weak link and get strong in that position there, it's an absolute game changer. It's just like being strong in different ranges in your squat. Like you could be squat, you want to be strong in the pocket, you want to be strong in the middle, right? So with with pressing or with anything that you're involving the kettlebell and holding it and it's heavy, right? You want to be able to, in my opinion, you want to be able to show that you can hold it in a relatively challenging weight, hold it with a flex position, but at a certain weight, I think it's advantageous and better to own that position with a bit more of an extended wrist. And then you can also work on like the ulnar and radial deviation, and that's the width of the kettlebell too. So the width of the kettlebell, you can get the kettlebell to sit farther down on your forearm too if you have a generous width in the window, because you can turn it slightly like this and then it can sit a little bit farther down. And again, millimeters like make a huge difference in the way it feels. And I know this from trying to full circle here, getting back to the design of the kettlebells. So the Turkish get-ups, I was figuring out that I wanted to design a kettlebell on my own because I couldn't find a consistently nice window through the current bells available. So I decided to also the in between sizes weren't available. So like 72, 76, 84, 88, 96 kilos and 100 kilos, they weren't even produced. So I wanted to make the in between bells. So I got together again with Zach Kirchner and another monster in the kettlebell world, Kettlebell Carl. I helped design the windows of the first, they were called tweener bells at the time, the in-between sizes. So that's what kind of started that first push to design the kettlebell. And that's where I modeled, it's a 72 millimeter. I'm not sure if you want to convert that, but I made it into a 72 millimeter height window, which was a generous window that felt really good. And it's I still have I made that 72 kilogram kettlebell because I wanted to do a body weight Turkish get up. That's why I wanted the 72 kilogram kettlebell. Yeah. So I'm very close to being there. I've over the last 5 years, I've cycled through mental health and addiction issues, and I've had weight come on and go off with the cycling of my happiness, we'll say. And I've cycled up to about 225 pounds. I'm only 5'6", so that's pretty quite significant amount of weight on a 5'6" individual. Now I'm about 170 pounds right now, and feeling really good. But the goal here is to keep the weight off, and I know life's gonna throw life at you, but it's nice to have. I believe I've got a bit of a program I'm working right now that helps me out with life without dealing with life with the negative things like drugs and alcohol. So,
right. I want to go back. You were talking about this get up world record attempt. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I had before I heard you talking about it just now, I didn't know that was the thing that you were pursuing. So you got my attention with that. So let's hear more about that. What are you doing with this thing?
Okay, so the current, I should have it on top of my head. Current world record is, I think it's about, let me just look it up here. I should have it on top of my head. TGU in an hour.
So this is total tonnage in an hour then?
Total tonnage in an hour. Yeah, that's it. So right now I've been training 3 Turkish get-ups. I go against the grain. A lot of folks don't like Turkish get-ups for endurance. And I do. I like it a lot, actually. But some people will be like, no, that's horrible. Don't do that. That's incredibly stupid. What are you doing? But I actually quite enjoy it. I like the grit of it. I like the mental toughness. And I'm just really good at get-ups. So it's not even very hard for me. So anyway, so the Guinness World Record right now is 74. It's 1,600 pounds, basically 1,638 pounds in an hour by Nicholas Stir of France. So I think I calculated this. If I did 3 Turkish get-ups every minute with a 36 kilogram kettlebell, I should be very close to that. So I'll just put that in here. So that's what my goal is. Right now, I'm doing 3 Turkish get-ups every minute with a 32 kilogram kettlebell, and it's feeling very, very manageable. I believe that I could do that for the complete hour. But so I'm working towards that. And a few years ago, I uploaded it to YouTube, but I previously deleted it. I forget what I did, but I did an hour long bout of it before, and at that time I believe that I was just a couple hundred kilograms away from the world record, but it's since been beaten. So now I've got to improve. So we're here right now. Just if I did 3 every minute for 60 minutes, that's 180 get ups. That's 6,480 kilograms. The current record is 74.29. Okay, so I think right now, like if I needed to, they said like, hey, you need to do this or your daughters aren't going to live, like I could do it.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think it's just a neat thing, and I think I can do it. And yeah, so my goal is to do slightly more on average than 3 per minute for the hour with a 36 kilogram kettlebell.
So it's, for you, 36 kilo is kind of a medium weight then?
Exactly. Yeah. So my it's pretty much right on actually. So like my max Turkish getup, I did a Turkish getup. It's interesting. So 10 years ago or 2018, so 8 years ago, I was up hanging out with Granville Mayers in Toronto, and he had this really big 60 kilogram kettlebell. And I loved it. And I was just big old handle on it. And I was just like, when I see a big handle, I just kind of salivate at the mouth. I'm like,
Right.
well, the window, I should say. I'm like, that's nice. So I pick it up and then I put a 12 kilogram kettlebell on it, and I did a double stacked. But it's interesting because it's easier actually than a 72 kilogram with the large bell, but just because of the weight and where the weight is in the bell, it's on top going down instead of on
Right.
the side pulling it to the side. But anyway, so my maximum get up is 72 kilograms, but I can't do it with one single bell yet.
Right.
I've done a 68, and that was with a challenging win or a smaller window actually with a, I think 60 millimeters. I got to get this conversion down, but anyways, it's I believe within the next 2 to 3 years, I will break the world record for the get up, and I believe that I will get the 300 snatches. So that's my goal, and I want to get them pretty much at the same time. That's my goal,
Right.
is to have them. I would like to have it within the same year or same annual year would be nice. But yeah, it's if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I know I got a lot of goals. The Beast Tamer, I want to own the Beast Tamer as well. My weakest lift in the Beast Tamer is the pull up. For anyone listening, the Beast Tamer is 3 lifts with a 48 kilogram kettlebell or 106 kilogram kettlebell. It's a military press one side, a pistol squat, and a pull up, all performed with that 106-pound kettlebell.
Yeah. Yeah. The variance of the where the weight sits on the arm is a huge, huge thing. And I'm biased toward the bent press in almost everything that I do. And then that's no secret. But the difference and between I actually shot some footage yesterday that was meant to show what I'm about to talk about, but then I had a malfunction on a dumbbell that I was using. I had these really cheap old Olympic dumbbell handles, and there's this the handle itself is constructed in such a way that it's like a standard I guess 1.25 inch, whatever, a standard size barbell, not an Olympic plate, but like the ones you would get when you were a kid, those smaller diameter hole plates. The dumbbell handles, I got them off like Craigslist or something years ago. But the dumbbell handle is constructed that's what it looks like. And then there's another sleeve that is 2 3/8 or whatever the size hole for an Olympic plate is that slides onto that and it's welded on there. And I didn't realize it's not welded very well because I went to clean this dumbbell yesterday and I got it on video. Whether or not it ever goes public or not, I don't know. But I go to clean this dumbbell to get it into position to do a bent press, and that external sleeve with 60 pounds or something secured to it slides off on the way up.
Oh dear.
And I just aborted the whole thing. But the maybe it was 50 pounds. I don't know, whatever it was. But the plan was to show um, the difference between doing a bent press with a 48 kilo competition style kettlebell, one of my old RKC style cast iron 48 kilo kettlebells, 48 kilos on a barbell and 48 kilos on a dumbbell, and to just kind of do a study on what those, how the implement affects the positioning of the body and all that stuff. But and so I shot I think I shot the barbell, and then I was going to do the dumbbell, and then it fell apart, and it spooked me enough that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go take a shower and eat something now. So I didn't finish doing that, but it's interesting you're talking about that in terms of the get up too, because over the years, as an educator, uh, one of the ways that I've seen the get up taught that I really don't like, I don't think it serves the purpose that that it's meant to serve as well as a lot of folks will proclaim that it does. And it's just based on my experience working with beginners, is doing a get up with either a shoe or a water bottle or something on top of a closed fist. I'm not a fan of that. And it's not because it isn't effective in keeping the forearm vertical or the arm vertical. It's because it transfers all of the person's attention away from doing the movement and turns it onto not dropping the thing on their hand. And so yeah, it's good for understanding alignment. And I've got a video on my YouTube from, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago of a post RKC debauchery that was going on in a bar. And if you look up Iron Tamer and look up Two Beers Anyhow, there was this girl that was in my group. She was on my team that I was teaching at the RKC. Her name's Kelly Cassidy, and she does in a bar in like nice clothes a get up from the floor to standing with a full pint of beer on her fist. And then when she's at the top, someone hands her like another beer and she drinks it or whatever. And it's it's shenanigans. But um from all this circling back around to what the implement means, people will ask me, well, can't you just do that with a dumbbell? And you absolutely can. But there's a significant difference. You were talking earlier about how get ups affect the shoulders and like improving the health and the stability inside a shoulder. There's a significant difference between using, say, a 35-pound dumbbell and then a 16 kilo kettlebell in doing the get up because of where the weight sits on the arm and because of what physics wants to do with that vertical arm. And it's amplified in the bent press in my opinion, because the biggest issue that anybody I've ever seen runs into with the bent press when it starts to get heavy is that the lightweight doesn't address the rotation or the helicopter that happens as you get down into the bottom of the bent press. It's a very natural thing as you go into the bottom of the bent press for the palm to go from facing towards your head to facing towards your hips. That happens with almost everybody just because of the way the mechanics of the body are as you go into that bent over position. The get up teaches a stability in that position that then carries over into the bent press. But with the flexed elbow, we wind up setting ourselves up with that motion that it causes a rotation. And if you watch the majority of the failed bent presses, they fail, particularly with kettlebells, because the palm, the hand at the elbow will start to pronate. And if it's heavy and it starts pronating with a heavy kettlebell with that center of gravity far away from the forearm bones that are supporting it, it sets you up in a spin. And if it moves, like you said earlier, millimeters are miles, really. If you move 3 or 4 millimeters with 68 kilos in your hand, drop the kettlebell because you will break your wrist if you don't. And the spin happens with a barbell too, but it's a whole different set of problems to deal with because now you have to stop it and bring it back into position because you can get away with that because of the way it sits. But it's interesting that you have done a deep dive into the mechanics and the measurements and how all this fits together, and you're designing kettlebells that are meant to do specific movements based on the design of the implement to accentuate the qualities that you want to develop. And I never really thought about it very much, but to me, the way that I tend to learn things best is if I can associate it with something that already makes sense to me, then I'll retain it better and I can understand it better. It's a lot like my son is 7 and he wanted me to teach him how to deadlift 2 days ago. And I've got him on a standard bar with like the 10-pound plates that are maybe 10 inches or 11 inches diameter. And when I watched him pull, I'm like, I need to get some 10-pound bumper plates so that his deadlift is consistent because that's why bumper plates exist in 25 pounds or in 15 kilos. They're from 5 kilos up to 50 kilos. Bumper plates are all the same size because Olympic lifters pull from the same height. Powerlifting deadlifters pull from the same height. And I realize I'm going straight into tangent land now, but you've got me
No,
thinking
that's
in terms
great
of
though.
order.
I love the tangent because it got me thinking. So I actually remember utilize like I don't hate on small handle or short windows.
Mhm.
I just prefer a higher window when I'm going super freaking heavy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I in the past, depending on the tools available to me at the time, I'll program a lighter kettlebell with a smaller window because
Hmm.
it's harder because it's a leverage tool.
Hmm.
It makes just so much difference. It's I can't emphasize how much like, and you're talking about the joint coupling with the pronation when during the bent press, and that if you any slight little movement again, just millimeters or miles, and that's what I mean. Like it just the millimeters make a huge difference, and that's what I can't stress enough, and that's why the kettlebells that I've designed and that I've produced, um, I have them made with Great Lakes Gear Pro up to 32 kilos in stock right now. But they're the bells that you see here behind me, and they have a very generous window, and you can for two-handed kettlebell swings, you can get your both hands in there, very nice. And for the any overhead work, it just feels nice. So I'm really excited to expand that lineup with my brand and be going to from 36 kilos all the way up to 228, which is completely unnecessary. So breaking that 500-pound barrier, completely unnecessary, but necessary at the same time. Uh,
Right.
anyways, the windows on those bells are very generous, and I'm not. They're not going to be the only kettlebells that we have. I want to have a full lineup of the shorter windows as well. I believe the RKC bells mostly have about a 60 millimeter window and a thicker handle. And I like the quality of the RKC bell as well. It's an amazing bell. It's the gold. It was the gold standard kettlebell. It's an amazing kettlebell. But in terms of heavy lifting for single arm swings and for stuff like that, and for like smaller weights, I find that there's no problem with a smaller window. But when you're getting super heavy and talking world records or personal records, millimeters are miles, and it makes a massive difference.
Yeah. I have not acquired a new kettlebell in probably 8 years. Almost everything that I have is from the old RKC days when I had a gym, and it's the RKC branded one. And I've got a few of them that are 23, 24 years old that don't even have the RKC logo stamped into them. It just has the kilos on either side. That I mean, that's the old school first run productions, and they're still my favorites, and they've oxidized well over the years and they're real nice. I've got a couple of heavier ones I've got a 68 and an 80 that I got from Rogue, and those are really good quality, but I've not handled a lot of the bigger bells that are available out there because when I had my gym, they weren't available, and I haven't found the need to buy anything or acquire anything until recently that would be bigger like that. But to the point you're making earlier, I have a 40 kilo and a 48 kilo of the old school RKC style. And I also have the same weights in Kettlebell Kings for before they sold their business. This was um, 8 years ago that I got these, and from what I understand, they sold the business and gone to new ownership, stuff like that. So I can't speak to the quality of what they're putting out now. I don't know anything about it, and that's not an endorsement or a disparaging comment either way. That is ignorance on my part. I don't know what they're making now, but what they made 8 years ago were glorious. And I have a 48, a 40, a 32, and a 16 and a 12 that are competition style. And to the point you were making earlier about grabbing different kettlebells because of the different dimensions or the different size window or what have you. For me, if I'm using a 40, a 32, or a 48, the cast iron versus the competition, very, very different. That more so with the 16, obviously, because the 16 kilo competition style is the same size as the bigger bells, which is more like a 32 kilo cast iron. It's roughly that same size. But the handle diameter is smaller, the window is different, the corners are shaped different. And so it's easier for me to use a competition style bell than it is a cast iron bell for bent presses in specific is what I'm talking about here. At that same weight. So the rep is smoother and easier with a competition style bell, just because the way it lays on my arm for all the factors that we've been talking about now. But I'm interested in seeing, I recently, last week was in Charleston at the Charleston Kettlebell Club. We were there on vacation, and I know those guys, Mike and Brett, and went and had lunch with them. And they had I didn't see what brand it was, but I grabbed the 52 kilo that they had and did a bent press, and it felt really nice. I should have, I guess, looked at what brand it was. And then I also did a 56 in Austin at Belfest a few weeks or a few months ago, and it felt the 52 that I did felt heavier than the 56. And I hadn't, until we were having this conversation, I hadn't really thought about the specifics of how important those dimensions could be. So that's really interesting stuff to me.
It's been my whole life for the last 10 years. Yeah, yeah, it really has. Like, at least when I'm dealing with training or with pursuing the kettlebells, I have had my kind of gotten off track here and there over the last 5 years or 10 years. But for the most part, I've been really focusing on product development and the whys behind that. And it's just come down to it's a leverage tool. Like it needs to be known as a leverage tool, not just a kettlebell and a weight, because it is a leverage tool. Like you
Yeah.
are fighting the leverage action of it going over. It is not a balanced weight. It is a leverage tool. Yeah, it's quite incredible. But I think I saw that video. I believe it was a Great Lakes gear of the old company. I think I saw that on one of your stories.
Okay.
But that would have been a 60 millimeter, I believe, because I don't have it. I didn't have any of them. But the larger the window, and it's interesting that you're talking about the cast iron, because I've actually thought about uh, making some tungsten kettlebells, because tungsten is incredibly dense material. So to get some heavier, like I would absolutely love to get as like a 60 kilo in like a cast, like the comp style.
Oh, I
Uh,
would love that so much.
yeah, that's just getting me going right now. Like, I think I got to go to send an email to my manufacturer after this.
Yeah.
um, but no, like it's really neat because it does make a big difference, and it does change the way it feels with the weight overhead being compact in a small little ball or a larger ball.
Right.
It makes a difference the way it feels. It's easier to control when it's smaller and more dense.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would probably, like, all of the comp windows are smaller, so I'd probably go just a slightly taller on the window, but keep it very, very dense material, and that would make that bell just feel amazing, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested in seeing what you have to offer in terms of these products, these kettlebells, where do they need to go to check that out?
Hey, I appreciate that very much. The website, the new brand is greatlakesmethod.com. And I really appreciate that. Right now, the way that I'm doing orders is basically I'm having everything specially made to try and basically have everything sold before it arrives. So I don't really have sitting on inventory. But yeah, speaking about new brands and stuff like that, you can see I'm wearing a Great Lakes Gear, a Pro brand up here, and some of the branding that you see. I have a T-shirt, many T-shirts that just say Great Lakes Gear. So my just some story and some background here. I started Great Lakes Gear Inc. in 2017. I ran that company, and that's the current company that's going bankrupt. So that company has gone through a failed business, and some people have been affected by that. And I just wanted to take some time today on the podcast to let everybody know, anyone that's listening, that I'm really genuinely sorry for if you've been impacted by my bankruptcy, and I want everybody to know that it was incredibly hard and it was incredibly difficult time and to go through that. And I just want everyone to know that I'm doing the best that I can to be a success and bring this Great Lakes Method brand and be successful with it. And my goal over the next few years is to be so successful that maybe in a few years' time I can repay anyone that has been harmed from my bankruptcy to make it right and to do the right thing. But I can't make any obligations, obviously, right now. I'm currently going through bankruptcy, but I'm very, very excited about the new opportunity. And yeah, anyways, I'll just leave it at that for that.
Well, I appreciate you being open and transparent about that and letting folks know, because we all make mistakes. We all, particularly if we're of an entrepreneurial mindset, it's very easy for us to get caught up in the joy and the passion of it and wind up making mistakes or making decisions that seem like they make sense at any given time, and then it winds up backfiring or whatever. So, we all make mistakes. The important thing is that we learn from it and that we continue to do the right thing and to make any reparations that we can. So I appreciate you being open and transparent about that, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, thank you very much. You said something that I'm living my life by right now, and that's making the next right decision. So I'm going to continue making the next right decision. And sometimes God's will and my will don't align, but I'm doing my best. And with that going forward, and in the last year of my life, living by that, some really good things have happened. And I'm just going to continue making the next right decision, what I think it is. And I'll just keep moving forward.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to your progress on the get ups and on the 300 reps of Secret Service. Like, my best ever at that was, I think, 260. And I don't have video of that, but I do have video somewhere on YouTube of 200 reps sub 8 minutes. And I think back to what that was like, and it's pretty harsh. So that's some pretty significant tonnage that you're looking to move there. But last thing, what's the website again? And if anybody's interested in checking out these products.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, any kettlebells from 36 kilograms all the way up to 228, which is a 500-pound barrier, is greatlakesmethod.com.
Greatlakesmethods.com. All right. Appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate everybody that's listening. And that's all I got for you today. This is Dave Whitley, the Iron Tamer, with the Strength Beyond Strength podcast, and we'll see you next time.